The heist that stumped America. Some crimes are unforgettable. Some criminals are impossible to catch. In this chilling documentary-style story, we explore the most genius bank robbery in U.S. history. A heist that remains unsolved decades later. Part 1. The perfect setup. Some crimes leave no traces. Some criminals leave no signatures. And some heists are so perfectly executed that even decades later, investigators are left asking the same question. How? This is the story of one of those heists. The most genius bank robbery in U.S. history. Still unsolved. Still a mystery. It began in a bustling American city in the late 1970s. The city itself was ordinary, a hub of commerce and finance, but nothing spectacular. The bank in question, however, was anything but ordinary. Located in the financial district, it was a sturdy building, armored and reinforced. Its vaults were state-of-the-art for the era. Security personnel were highly trained. Cameras, locks, alarms, everything a would-be thief could fear. The first mystery. How could anyone plan something so intricate without leaving a footprint? And then came the final piece of preparation: observation. For weeks they mapped every detail: guard patterns, bank employee habits, alarm system quirks, traffic flow outside the building, police patrol schedules. The level of detail was staggering. One investigator later commented, "They weren't just robbing a bank, they were predicting reality itself." By the night of the heist, everything was in place. The city outside remained oblivious. Employees left for the night, thinking it was just another ordinary evening. The vaults were secure, the alarms active, the cameras recording. Yet nothing would prevent what was about to happen. And that's where part 1 ends. The stage is set, the players are ready, and the most brilliantly executed bank robbery in U.S. history is about to unfold. The question remains: how does one steal millions without leaving a trace, without a single clue pointing to the culprit? The answer lies in part 2. If part 1 was about setting the stage, part 2 is about understanding the mind behind the crime. Because the most remarkable thing about this heist was not the money taken, but the discipline it took not to rush. The people who planned this robbery did not act like criminals. They acted like analysts, like engineers, like people who understood that mistakes don't happen during the crime. They happen long before it. The planning phase did not begin weeks before the robbery. It began months earlier. Investigators later discovered subtle signs, small, almost meaningless anomalies that, at the time, meant nothing. A security guard noted a delivery truck that arrived early one morning, but the paperwork checked out. An employee remembered a technician inspecting a motion sensor, but his badge was valid. A maintenance log showed routine access to a service corridor, signed off by someone who technically existed. Technically, the robbers understood something fundamental. Systems don't fail because of force. They fail because of trust. They didn't break doors. They didn't disable alarms violently. They didn't intimidate anyone. Instead, they became part of the system. One of the most chilling realizations came years later when investigators reconstructed access records. The robbers had been inside of the bank multiple times before the robbery. Not at night, not secretly, during normal business hours. They walked through the same doors as customers and staff. They stood in line. They observed reflections in glass. They counted seconds between guard passes. They listened. Listening was key. Security cameras were another challenge, but the robbers didn't try to turn them off. Instead, they learned what the cameras couldn't see. Every camera has blind spots, not obvious ones, but natural ones created by architecture, light glare, and human assumption. And then there was the vault. The vault was supposed to be unbeatable. Layered security, multiple locks, time delays, but the robbers didn't see a vault. They saw a process operated by humans. Humans who followed schedules. Humans who trusted systems to behave the same way every day. That trust became the vulnerability. By now, the planners had rehearsed everything, not physically, mentally. They walked through the building in their minds step by step, second by second. If a door hesitated, they had a plan. If a light flickered, they had a plan. If something went wrong, they would abort. That's another reason the case remains unsolved. They were prepared to walk away. Nothing about this heist was desperate. Desperation leaves fingerprints. This was patience. On the final week before the robbery, the planners stopped visiting the bank. They stopped observing in person. Everything they needed was already known. This wasn't confidence. It was restraint. The night before the robbery, nothing unusual happened. No phone calls, no meetings, no last-minute changes. The planners trusted their preparation more than their instincts. And when the chosen night arrived, they didn't feel excitement. They felt confirmation, because to them, the robbery had already happened. They were simply about to execute a script. At precisely the right moment, they would enter. No alarms screaming, no weapons drawn, no chaos, just quiet movement through a system that had already accepted them as legitimate. And that is where part 2 ends. In part 3, we enter the night itself, minute by minute, step by step. The robbery as it actually happened. When you're ready, I'll continue with part 3, the night of the heist. The night the robbery happened did not announce itself. No storms, no sirens, no tension in the air. Just another ordinary evening in an ordinary American city, and that was exactly the point. At 9:47 p.m., the bank closed as usual. Employees locked their desks, turned off lights, and left. Security systems transitioned into night mode. Cameras adjusted, alarms armed themselves. Everything worked perfectly. That was the problem. At 11:12 p.m., the city entered its quiet hours. Traffic slowed. Police patrols followed predictable routes. The bank building became just another dark structure among many. And somewhere nearby, the robbers waited. Not watching the bank, but they were watching time. At exactly 12:03 a.m., the first action occurred. Not a break-in. A door opened, a service entrance, rarely used, unlocked with proper credentials. No forced entry, no damage. The system logged it as authorized access. Inside, the building was silent. Footsteps were slow, measured, timed between camera sweeps. They moved like people who had walked these halls before. Because they had, the cameras recorded everything, but they recorded nothing useful. Angles were wrong. Lighting washed out details. Movements happened inside natural blind zones. Later, investigators would watch the footage and feel something deeply unsettling. The cameras weren't blind, they were simply never looking where the robbers were. At 12:19 a.m., the first internal checkpoint was passed. No alarms, no alerts, no deviations. The vault level came next. This was the point where every theory said the robbery should fail. It didn't. The vault did not open immediately. It wasn't supposed to. Time delays existed for this exact reason, and the robbers respected them. They waited, sitting, standing, breathing quietly, because waiting is safer than rushing. At 12:41 a.m., the vault opened, not explosively, not dramatically, with a soft mechanical sound that echoed only briefly. Inside were safety deposit boxes, cash reserves, and documents. They didn't take everything. Only what they came for. No greed, no improvisation. By 1:06 a.m., they were done. And that is the most unbelievable part. They didn't linger. They didn't celebrate. They closed the vault, reset systems, returned the building to its original state. At 1:23 a.m., the same service door opened again, and then closed. The robbery was over. The bank didn't know it yet. Part 4. The investigation that found nothing. The robbery was discovered the next morning, not by alarms, not by police, by a bank employee. Everything looked normal, too normal. No broken locks, no forced doors, no mess. Until they reached the vault. When investigators arrived, confusion replaced urgency. This wasn't a crime scene. It was a puzzle. Security footage showed nothing actionable. Access logs showed authorized entries. Alarm systems reported no breaches. Even the vault logs confirmed a proper opening sequence. Nothing had been hacked. Nothing had been broken. The FBI joined within hours. They brought specialists, engineers, behavioral analysts, and still nothing. Fingerprints? None. Tool marks? None. Footprints? Clean floors. The most disturbing detail was what wasn't missing. Large sums of cash remained untouched. High-value items ignored. Only very specific assets were taken, as if the robbers knew exactly what mattered and what didn't. Investigators reconstructed timelines. Every second accounted for. Every system behaved as designed, which led to a terrifying conclusion. The system was used, not defeated. Months passed. Leads dried up. Public interest faded. The case went cold, but internally it haunted everyone involved. Because it suggested something far worse than criminal brilliance. It suggested institutional vulnerability. Part 5, still unsolved. Years later, the case remains unsolved. No arrests, no confirmed suspects, no recovered assets. Theories emerged. Insiders, former employees, professional criminals. None proven. Some believe the robbers were never criminals at all. They believe this was an inside operation designed to test system. Others believe it was something simpler. People who understood patience better than fear. What makes this heist legendary is not the money. It's the silence. No bragging, no slips, no mistakes. Just absence. The bank still operates. Customers walk in every day, unaware they're standing inside one of the most perfectly executed crimes in history. And somewhere the people who planned it may still be alive, watching, knowing they succeeded. Because the greatest crime is not the one you never solve. It's the one you never even fully understand. End of story. Unsolved Heist. Most genius bank robbery in U.S. history.